The buzz in Melbourne Park was fucking electric as the Australian Open edged closer to its climactic showdown. The air wasn't just thick with anticipation, it was suffocating, drenched in the promise of fireworks both on and off the court. Alexander Zverev, a towering figure and a relentless force in tennis, found himself smack dab in the middle of a brewing shitstorm. His focus, usually laser-sharp, was split between his impending face-off against Jannik Sinner and a whirlwind of controversy that he himself had detonated like a goddamn grenade. It all kicked off in a pre-final press conference that everyone expected to be routine. Some polite smiles, canned answers, the usual PR fluff. But Zverev, in true unpredictable fashion, decided to hijack the narrative. Gripping the mic with the same intensity he smashes forehands, he launched into a tirade that made the room go as silent as a library on Christmas Eve. "I've faced plenty of talented players," he began, his voice steady but laced with a razor-sharp edge. "But talent doesn't excuse arrogance. Jannik struts around like he's already conquered the tennis world. Newsflash, he hasn't earned shit yet." Boom. Mic fucking drop. The room collectively gasped as reporters scrambled to jot down the verbal grenade Zverev had just lobbed. But he wasn't done. Oh no, the German wasn't going to leave it at that. He doubled down, accusing Sinner of stepping over the sacred, unwritten lines of sportsmanship. "Tennis isn't just about how hard you can whack a ball," he spat. "It's about respect. Respect for the game, your opponents, and the grind that got you here. And Jannik? He's got the memory of a goldfish when it comes to that." Social media went ballistic faster than you could say, double fault. Fans, analysts, and trolls all dove headfirst into the digital brawl. Some hailed Zverev as a hero, a straight-talker exposing the supposed golden boy. Others shredded him, labeling the outburst as nothing more than petty jealousy wrapped in bravado. The press conference clips went viral, dissected frame by armchair psychologists and tennis pundits alike. Meanwhile, Jannik Sinner? The kid stayed cool as a damn cucumber. He didn't bite back or fuel the fire. Instead, he ducked questions with the grace of a seasoned politician. "I'm here to play tennis, not to engage in off-court drama," he said with a tight smile that oozed professionalism. Inside sources, however, hinted that Zverev's remarks had struck a nerve. Apparently, Jannik vented to his close circle, calling the accusations a calculated jab designed to rattle him before the biggest match of his career. "It's not just tennis, it's psychological warfare," one insider quipped. But Zverev wasn't letting up. In follow-up interviews, he amped up his attack, branding Sinner as a puppet on strings, too dependent on his coaching team. Where's the originality? The creativity? Champions don't need their hands held every damn step of the way, Zverev sneered to a German sports outlet. The tennis community erupted again, this time with analysts questioning whether Zverev's comments were a tactical mind game or a window into his own insecurities about Sinner's meteoric rise. Jannik finally broke his silence just enough to drop a subtle clapback. "I respect Alexander as a player," he said in a tone so measured it could have balanced a level. "Everyone expresses themselves differently. I'll let my racket do the talking." It was the tennis equivalent of a mic drop, calm, composed, and absolutely savage in its simplicity. Despite Sinner's best efforts to stay above the fray, the drama escalated. Zverev took to Instagram, posting a cryptic photo of himself mid-training under the floodlights with the caption, "Preparation beats hype every time." The internet went nuts, reading between every pixel of the post. Was it another veiled dig at Sinner? A flex to assert dominance? Or just Zverev being his usual cocky self? By the time the final loomed, the tension was thicker than Djokovic's ego. Reports swirled of heated exchanges between the players' entourages, and security in the players' lounge was cranked up to DEFCON 1. Both camps were on edge, and the stakes had soared beyond a trophy. This was personal now. Zverev, for all his trash talk, looked locked in during practice, his serves thundering across the court like goddamn cannonballs. Sinner, on the other hand, exuded a zen-like intensity, perfecting his angles and footwork with surgical precision. This wasn't just going to be a match, it was a fucking showdown, a clash of egos, strategies, and who could keep their shit together under the crushing weight of the moment. As the day of reckoning approached, the world braced for what promised to be an unforgettable spectacle. Would Zverev's fiery words translate to dominance on the court, or would Sinner's ice-cold composure prevail? One thing was certain. This wasn't just tennis anymore. It was theater, gladiatorial combat under the blinding lights of Melbourne Park. Buckle up, folks. This was going to be one hell of a ride. The world watched with bated breath as the countdown to the much-hyped showdown ticked closer, the outcome of the match a tantalizing mystery. But one thing was as clear as day. The rivalry between Alexander Zverev and Jannik Sinner had ballooned far beyond tennis, morphing into a full-blown soap opera that fans couldn't get enough of. It was no longer just about who could whack a ball better. It was a full-scale drama, a clash of egos, and a masterclass in public feuding. If the Australian Open had ever seen chaos like this, the archives were hiding it damn well. The lead-up to the final felt like a circus on steroids. Everyone, players, fans, media, and even the poor ball kids, was caught in the crossfire of this escalating drama. Melbourne Park buzzed like a hive of caffeinated bees, with fans practically drawing battle lines. Team Zverev versus Team Sinner. It wasn't just a tennis match anymore. It was the fucking Hunger Games with a racket. Even in the usually neutral players' village, the air was so thick with tension you could slice it with a butter knife. Staff members, who typically excelled at pretending nothing fazed them, were walking on eggshells, avoiding eye contact and taking alternate routes to dodge the icy glares exchanged between the two camps. Zverev's inner circle, true to form, stuck by him like a loyal pack of wolves. His coach, Sergei Brouwer, went on the record in a German sports mag to defend Sasha's decision to run his mouth. Sasha calls it as he sees it, Brouwer declared with the conviction of someone who'd clearly had enough espresso that morning. He's been in this game long enough to know what's acceptable and what's not. If he's pointing out issues, there's a damn good reason. But not everyone was buying it. Critics came for Zverev with knives out, accusing him of arrogance and using the drama as a smokescreen to hide his own shaky performances in high-pressure matches. Meanwhile, Sinner's camp decided to take the high road, the scenic route, and maybe a private jet out of the whole mess. His coach, Darren Cahill, kept things classy, telling reporters, "Jannik's here to play tennis, not mind games." He respects the sport, he respects his opponents, and he's ready to let his racket do the talking. Behind closed doors, though, it was a different story. A family friend spilled the tea to a journalist, revealing that Sinner's parents, who had flown in to witness their boy's big moment, were pissed. Having their son's character dragged through the mud, especially on the brink of such a pivotal match, was a tough pill to swallow. But they raised him to be tough, the source added. They're confident he'll handle this shitstorm with dignity. Sinner himself seemed like the calm in the middle of a very noisy storm. He stuck religiously to his daily routines, starting every morning with meditation to keep his head in the game. His team even brought in mindfulness exercises specifically designed to drown out the circus unfolding around him. "Jannik's an old soul," Cahill commented to a journalist, his tone practically dripping with pride. "He doesn't let the chaos get to him. That's why he's climbed the ranks so damn fast." Zverev, on the other hand, was a whole different vibe. His training sessions were pure fire and brimstone, the kind of intensity that would make even Nadal say, "Chill, bro." Spectators who came to watch described him as a man possessed, hammering out baseline rallies like he was auditioning for an action movie. One particularly nosy fan even whispered, "It's like he's imagining every ball is Sinner's face." But the cracks in his armor weren't hard to spot. During one session, Zverev was caught shouting at a member of his team over what looked like a minor miscommunication. Although he smoothed it over quickly, it didn't stop people from speculating that the pressure was starting to chew away at his nerves. As if the drama wasn't juicy enough, an anonymous former coach who had worked with both players decided to wade into the mess. Speaking to a major tennis publication, The coach dished out some spicy insider gossip. Alex is like a volcano, unpredictable, explosive, and impossible to control when he's on edge, they said. Jannik, though? He's a glacier. Slow to anger, but once he's moving, nothing stops him. It's a clash of fire and ice, and honestly, it's fucking entertaining. Back in the media frenzy, social platforms were lighting up like a Christmas tree on steroids. Fans dissected every word, every gesture, every damn Instagram post. And Zverev, being the cheeky devil he is, decided to stir the pot even more by posting a cryptic photo of himself mid-practice with the caption, "Winners prepare. Losers react." Cue the internet losing its collective shit. Was this another jab at Sinner? A motivational quote gone wrong? Or just Zverev flexing his trolling skills? Either way, it kept the hype train chugging along at full speed. By the time match day rolled around, the atmosphere at Melbourne Park was absolutely insane. Security had been beefed up in the players' lounge to prevent any off-court drama from spilling over into full-blown fistfights. Fans packed the stands, their cheers and jeers forming a chaotic symphony of rivalry. Both players hit the court looking like gladiators ready to spill blood, or at least metaphorical blood. The stakes had never been higher, and it wasn't just about a shiny trophy anymore. This was about pride, respect, and proving who the real badass was. The world was watching, popcorn in hand, waiting for this rivalry to hit its boiling point. One thing was certain. This wasn't just tennis, it was a goddamn spectacle. The coach offered a raw and unfiltered glimpse into the clash of these two colossal tennis personalities. Jannik is a perfectionist to his core, they explained. He's disciplined, methodical, and laser-focused, like a damn human chess computer. But that can come across as distant, maybe even too calculated. On the flip side, Sasha thrives on raw emotion and pure adrenaline. He's all fire and chaos, while Jannik is ice-cold precision. It's like watching a volcano trying to melt an iceberg. The fact that they've butted heads is about as surprising as a drunk uncle causing a scene at Christmas dinner. Despite the simmering tensions, both players kept up with their media duties. Zverev, never one to shy away from the spotlight, carried himself with an aura of swagger that his fans found magnetic and his critics found downright infuriating. He wasn't just walking into these press conferences. He was strutting in like he owned the goddamn building, tossing out sharp one-liners that had journalists simultaneously scribbling notes and picking their jaws off the floor. Sinner, by contrast, was the picture of calm. His reserved demeanor was almost monk-like, a serene counterbalance to Zverev's theatrical bravado. Where Sasha was all chest-thumping and verbal grenades, Jannik was quietly unshakable, like a rock weathering a storm. Their contrasting approaches extended beyond press conferences. At a fan meet-and-greet hosted by the tournament, Zverev made a grand entrance, oozing charm as he scribbled autographs with the flair of a rock star and snapped selfies with fans. "Every great story needs a villain," he quipped to a supporter wearing a t-shirt emblazoned with his name. The crowd erupted in laughter, eating up his tongue-in-cheek humor. Meanwhile, Sinner moved through the event with his characteristic humility. When a visibly nervous young fan handed him a handmade card wishing him luck, Jannik took the time to read it, his face softening into a genuine smile. "This means so much to me," he said warmly. "I'll do everything I can to make you proud." As the hours ticked by, the media frenzy hit a fever pitch. Sports commentators couldn't resist drawing parallels to legendary rivalries from tennis history, declaring this clash as much a psychological war as it was a physical one. "This isn't just about tennis anymore," one analyst proclaimed during a live broadcast. "It's a showdown of ideologies, a battle over how players see themselves, each other, and the sport as a whole." Adding fuel to the fire, Zverev's Instagram became ground zero for cryptic posts that seemed tailor-made to keep fans guessing. One particularly fiery post featured him in mid-serve, captioned, "Timing is everything." Speculation exploded across social media. Was it another dig at Sinner? A declaration of confidence? Or just Sasha being Sasha? Meanwhile, Sinner's social media presence remained as understated as ever. He shared a single, simple image: a quiet, empty tennis court at dusk. No caption. No frills. Just calm before the storm. The rivalry had grown into a double-edged sword. While the drama had skyrocketed interest in the final to near-mythic levels, it also brought logistical headaches for the tournament. Security around both players was quietly ramped up, with extra measures put in place to ensure their safety. "We're walking a tightrope here," a senior official admitted under their breath. "We want to celebrate the sport, not turn this into a damn reality TV show." As the final loomed closer, the tension was palpable enough to cut with a knife. Fans, journalists, and even the ball kids couldn't tear themselves away from the narrative unfolding before their eyes. This wasn't just a tennis match anymore. It was a spectacle, a soap opera, a clash of titans destined to be etched into the annals of tennis folklore. Pride, rivalry, and personality collisions had set the stage for a showdown that promised to be more explosive than a New Year's Eve fireworks display. And yet, beneath all the noise and spectacle, one truth remained unshakable: the match itself was only part of the story. Win or lose, this wasn't just about a trophy anymore. It was about legacies, egos, and a rivalry that had captured the world's imagination. Fans weren't just tuning in to watch tennis. They were there for the drama, the chaos, and the sheer, unfiltered madness that made this final the stuff of legends.